Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Do you love nature-themed jewelry? And do you love the bohemian style? If you answered yes, you're in the right place because today we're going to be making this gorgeous owl-themed necklace. And we're going to be using the beads that came in Sam's bead box for the month of November. Now, if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below in the description section of this video, along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. But anyway, as you can see, this necklace consists of an owl pendant made with a copper component, Mookaite beads, and checked glass beads. And the strands have the same kind of beads as well. But the best part about this necklace is that it's relatively easy to make. Now, if you think you might like my content, please think about subscribing to this channel. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And here we have Sam's bead box for the month of November 2023. The name of this box is Mookaite Memoreis. And just like all the other boxes, I fell in love with all these beads. They were so gorgeous, guys. And this month they included some beautiful Mookaite beads, as well as a carved jasper pendant. The colors were very rich and vibrant, but earthy at the same time. But anyway, guys, I already did an unboxing video. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it down below. So let's go ahead and select the items for today's project. Here are the items from the box. As you can see, I have my antique copper component. And when I first saw that one, guys, the first thing that popped into my mind was an owl. I think it's because of those two circular sections. They reminded me of owl eyes. It's funny because I showed it to my husband and he said it reminded him of headlights on a car. I guess everybody sees things differently. And you may not see an owl, but I certainly did. But anyway, I have one little leaf here. It was part of this collection. As you can see, it came with a bunch of amethyst colored leaves and then two of these. And that one measures 9 by 14 millimeters. And these are called Dahlia coin beads. They measure 14.5 millimeters. And here we have two melon beads. They measure 10 millimeters in size. And they were part of this collection. As you can see, we received different colors. These 6 are opaque, but these 3 are transparent. And I'm only going to use the 2. And here we have a Mandala flower coin bead. It measures 18 millimeters across. And these are called textured ovals. They came on a strand along with some other ones that were yellowish in color. And here they are. I really like these, but I wanted to use the ones that were just red. So I picked these 4. And these measure 8 by 9 millimeters. And here we have some twist barrel beads. These also came in a strand with other colors. There are actually 2 colors. 10 were like this, and these are actually red and purple in color. And here are the other 10. These are actually purple or lavender with yellow. And as you can see, I chose the red ones. It's a pretty dark red, but if you hold the light behind it, you can see that a portion of the bead is red. So these are the items from the box. Let me show you what else we're going to need. These items are from my own stash. I have 4 copper-colored spacer beads that measure 6 millimeters across. And I have some 5 millimeter and 6 millimeter jump rings. And I have a lobster clasp as well. I'm going to be using some craft wire today. This one's 20 gauge and this one's 22 gauge. And as you can see, they're in a copper color. So now that we've gone over the materials, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by creating the pendant. And these are the items we're going to use. I do have a head pin here. I didn't mention that earlier, but you will need one head pin, and it's a flat head pin. I'm going to use that to attach the mandala flower to the component. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to load one of these Mookaite beads. And now the mandala flower. Like that. And by the way, guys, sometimes these check beads have holes that are very small. So you want to make sure your head pin is nice and straight so it goes in properly. And now using some flat nose pliers, I'm going to create a 90-degree bend. Now you want to leave a little bit of space underneath there for that bend. Using flush cutters, I'm going to snip off the excess, leaving about 1/2 inch or so. I want a nice big loop for this one. So now with my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end, making sure that it's flush. If you want a nice round loop, you want to make sure it's flush. And I'm simply going to create my loop. And you want to make sure that it's nice and centered and closed. And now I'm going to open it up and connect it to the component, just like that. Let me close it. So that's step 1. And now we're going to form the body of the owl. I have a piece of 20 gauge wire here, and it's a pretty long piece. It measures about 7 inches. And I actually forgot one item. I forgot this leaf. We're going to actually thread the leaf onto the wire first and bring it to the center, just like that. Using pliers, I'm going to create a kink right here. Let me just kink it a little bit more. I want a nice sharp kink, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So that's what we have so far. And now we're going to cross the wires. So it looks like this. And this part's going to be a little tricky, guys, because we're going to have to do some wraps. So I'm going to grab the wire with these pliers to the left of where those two pieces connect, just like this. Using some other pliers, I'm going to grab the other end and do a couple of wraps the best way I can. Let me bend it a little bit. You want those wraps sitting upright. And now let me bend this one a little bit as well. I think that looks okay, but we're not done yet. I'm going to snip off this bent end. And now using a pair of nylon coated pliers, I'm going to curve this one just a little bit, not too much, because we need to slide some beads onto it. I'm going to try to bend this wire away from those wraps. Let me just do it and then I'll show you. It's not perfect, but once we slide some beads on there, it should be okay. And of course, I'm also going to trim this one. Let me trim it a little bit more. That's good enough. So now we're going to slide on some beads. So I'm going to start by loading some of these Mookaite beads. I'm going to load 2 of them. And now a spacer bead. And now one of these glass beads. And another spacer bead. And now another Mookaite bead. And a second one. So we have 2 Mookaite beads, a spacer bead, a glass bead, another spacer bead, and another 2 Mookaite beads. Actually, I'm going to offload them because I don't like the distribution of the colors of those Mookaite beads. I know I'm being kind of picky, but I'm going to keep that yellow one. And then I'm going to load a red one. And let me load the rest of these beads. And now one of these. And now maybe this purple one. I think that looks a little bit better. So now I'm going to create a simple loop at this end. So once again, I'm going to grab the wire and kink it. And I actually want this one to be pretty small, the loop. So let me cut off the excess. And that measures about 1/4 inch, maybe slightly longer. So now I'm going to create a loop. Just like that. And now I'm going to curve this beaded section after we do this one. So let's go ahead and load some beads. I'll start with a purple one. And now maybe a red one. And now a spacer bead. And the check bead. And another spacer bead. And now this red one. Or maybe this yellow one. And now the red one. Like that. Let me kink the wire. Snip off what I don't want, leaving 1/4 of an inch. Grab the end and form a loop. Let me just make sure that it's lined up with the other one. And now we're going to curve it. That looks pretty good. I like to keep my workspace clean. I do it mostly for you guys, actually. I think you get a better visual experience when the workspace is neat. So now we're just going to connect the body to the head, and we're going to use these jump rings. Let me open it up. I'm going to hook it up to this loop here, like that. And let me close it. And now let me open up this one. Connect it to this loop. So now I'm going to connect it to the component, and you want to make sure that you connect it properly. Check it to make sure, because you don't want to connect that jump ring the wrong way. Trust me, guys, it's easy to do. So there's my owl, isn't it cute? Let me curve this out a little bit more. You can manipulate these beaded components whichever way you want so that it sits properly. So now that we've completed the pendant, we're going to move on to the strands. Let me get the beads for that. Here are the beads for the strands. I have my textured oval beads, my melon beads, my twisted oval beads, my dahlia flowers, and my 6mm Mookaite beads. Now, it did take me a while to figure out how to arrange these beads, but basically this is what I had in mind. I'm going to start with one of these dahlia flowers, and then one of these, and then a Mookaite bead, and then one of these melon beads, a Mookaite bead, and one of these. As you can see, I have a little pattern. Basically, it's a large red bead followed by 2 smaller beads, another large red bead followed by 2 smaller beads. So the next one will be another large one. And now a twisted barrel bead and a Mookaite bead. I hope you can see the pattern. But anyway, guys, these beads are so beautiful, it really doesn't matter how you arrange them. It's going to look beautiful no matter what. You may just want to use the Mookaite beads and not the twisted barrel beads. But the twisted barrel beads have the purple and the red colors, which are both in the Mookaite beads. I would say just play around with it and see what looks good to you. But anyway, this gives you some idea. So now I'm going to show you how to create these beaded components, and I'm going to use 20 gauge wire. And I like to work with a nice long piece because it minimizes the wastage. So once again, I'm going to grab the wire about 3/8 of an inch down, create a 90-degree bend. I'm going to grab the end with my round nose pliers, making sure it's flush, and I'm going to form a loop. Now these are going to require 22 gauge because the holes are very small, but the rest should be okay. So let me go ahead and do this one. Like that. Grab the end, line up the bottom loop, kink my wire, Snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. And I just lost a bunch of beads. I'll have to go search for them on the floor later on. I'm sure it's happened to you many times. It comes with the territory, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and grab the wire with my round nose pliers, making sure it's flush, and I'm going to form a loop. Make sure your loop is centered and make sure it's closed, just like that. And I'm going to make sure my loops are lined up. So I'm going to grab both loops with some pliers and line them up. So there's my first beaded component. And I'm going to do all of them just like that, except for the dahlia flowers. Like I said before, I'm going to use 22 gauge wire for those. And here I have a 4-inch piece. I'm going to grab it about 1.5 inches down, something like that. Bend my wire, switch to this part. Take the tail, wrap it around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab my loop with some skinny pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. I'm going to tuck in that little sharp end. Let me just straighten it out a little bit. And now I'm going to slide the wire through the bead like that. I'm going to grab the wire right above the bead like this, line up the bottom loop, kink it, switch to this part, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, and I'm going to grab this loop with some skinny pliers, grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in that little sharp end. So that's basically it, guys. I'm going to do all of these just like that, and then the rest of them are going to have simple loops, just like this one here. And like I said, I have been playing with these beads, so I kind of know how many components I'm going to make, but it all depends on how long you want your necklace. I'm probably not going to use all of these beads here, but I do want to use all of these, including the twisted beads. There's a total of 10, including this one. So anyway, I'm going to create these beaded components off camera to save time, and then I'll come back and show you how many of each. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I finished all my beaded components, and I did connect one of the strands. It measures about 9.5 inches. Sometimes the loops can affect the length, so if you make smaller loops and use the same beads that I did, your strand may be shorter. And speaking of loops, someone left a really negative comment on one of my videos, my previous videos. She said my loops were too big, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But then she added, and the necklace is not beautiful. And that really hurt my feelings. To each his own, you know? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So what may be beautiful to some people may not be beautiful to others, and that's fine. But anyway, as I was saying, the loops can affect the length. Now this is where I'm going to attach the clasp. So instead of adding another red bead there, I just continued with the smaller ones. But when you make yours, you can certainly continue the same exact pattern all the way to the top. It's up to you. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect these beaded components, and that's very easy to do. Let me open up this loop. And I'm going to connect the dahlia flower and close it. And now I'm going to open up this loop, connect the next bead, and close it. And that's all there is to it, guys. So I'm just going to keep connecting my beaded components until I get to the end, and I'll see you in a few moments. So here are my 2 strands, and now I'm ready to connect them to the pendant. Here's my pendant. I have 2 5mm jump rings. Let me go ahead and open up one of them. I'm going to connect it to the pendant, and now I'm going to connect one of these strands. Just like that. Let me close it. I think it looks really nice. Now I could have connected the loop of the beaded component to the owl, but I think when you add jump rings, the piece looks more fluid and the pendant hangs a little bit better. Let me go ahead and open up this jump ring. And now let me connect this strand. And close it. I just love these colors, they're so beautiful. Here's a lobster clasp and 2 6mm jump rings. Actually, I think they're about 6.5mm. Let me go ahead and open one. Connect the clasp. And now I have to figure out which is the right strand. If you're right-handed, you should connect the clasp on the right strand. So obviously, if you're left-handed, it's better if you connect it on the left strand. So this is the right strand right here. Let me close it. And now let me open up this one. And I'm going to connect it to the other strand. So that's my finished boho owl necklace, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks nice. I hope you like it as well. I hope I've inspired you. I hope you can make your own. Let me slide my board down so you can see the top of the necklace. There's the top. So anyway, guys, as always, I'd like to go ahead and model it for you. So let me go ahead and put it on. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Happy Thanksgiving if I don't see you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.